Hey there, brothers and sisters. Vessel of Truth here. Jay from Virginia for the new people. I'm going to do a video for you. Important video, really, for those of basically just may have started into walking in the law and Torah of Yahuwah. We are coming up to the new year, and it is, one of the several important times that we are to observe the feasts of the Father. And so what I actually had planned a huge presentation to, cover Passover, Unleavened Bread, first fruits, but didn't quite go over too well. I understand in prayer while I was getting pushback. It isn't my job to do all the legwork for everyone. So instead of, giving this big, huge, elaborate, real in-depth, presentation that, probably would have took, to really cover it the way I planned on, probably, 2.5, 3 hours, possibly. I'm not going to quite go into it too deep. Basics is, basically what I'm getting in prayer. It's not my job to do all the legwork for everyone. We as the children of Yahuwah are commanded, to study to show ourselves approved. If we're calling ourselves a child of Yahuwah and trying to ride the coattails of someone else, how can we really say that we love him? I love the word, and I love, to give the information and all that, but I see his point. All of this information is, can be gathered on the internet for one. But the thing of it is not everybody's following the same calendar. And, again, I am doing the best that I know to do. Going by, the way I read the calendar from what I understand right now. These are, the times, that I am observing, the Passover. If you see things different than I do, that's fine. You're still my brother or you're still my sister. I'm not going to fight about it because none of us know 100% exactly what the day, time, and year is. We're doing the best that we can do. And, it tells us that in Daniel, that the times and days and seasons, you would all be mixed up and changed. But, the main thing is we're doing our best to walk in obedience. So, the new year begins on the evening of April 2nd. In the Bible, the word of Yahuwah, it calls it, depending on which translation you've got, either Aviv, A-V-I-V, or Abib, A-B-I-B. And you'll find out that isn't the name of a month. Let's see. What is it? Let's go down here. I think it is 23. Yeah, Exodus 23, I think 15. It tells us, thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread and of course, unleavened bread starts with Passover. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I command thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib. Abib is not a name of a month. Abib or Aviv just means springtime. The first month is Nisan, Nisan. Nisan, people call it different things. But, the evening of April 2nd starts the new year. So, again, in that first month, as we will read, all 3 of the spring feasts will be held in April this year. So, again, I'm not being mean. I'm not, poking fun at anyone, because I've had a lot of people, ask questions. And questions are fine. But I've also had a lot of people that basically said, hey, could you write out everything there is to be about Passover and let me have it, so I can understand and know? And, I can see that point, but at the same time, a person is going to learn a lot more if they grab the word themselves and study it. Because there are scores and scores and scores of scripture that go along with Passover. Old and New Testament. And, it's a beautiful thing when you think about, here we are in this time and day that we live. And, the feasts of the Father are a mirror image of what's going on in heaven. And it's like, wow, as I'm doing this, it could be going on up in heaven. It's a mirror image, You figure Moses, when he was commanded to build the tabernacle, he was shown things of the heaven and come and, recreated that which he saw. And, I don't think people really take the time to really think about it. But, I'm not going to do that huge, in-depth video of the Passover and unleavened bread and first fruits. We're going to cover the basics. Not only the basics, we're also going to cover a little bit more than just the basics, because I think it's important. Because there's, the feasts of the Father are prophetic in nature. They are for a perpetual generations, forever and forever. As long as mankind is alive, we should be keeping the feasts of the Father. And, it is a sign between us and Him, and our right hand and between our frontlets of our eyes or our forehead. Between us and Him. It's that seal of the Father on us as His children. So, I'm sorry if, not doing an in-depth makes you mad, but I just pray that you can see the point of view, that the Father has given me. And, there are some lazy people, that just want everything handed to them on a silver platter. When, I can speak from experience. There are some things that, I've had a friend tell me about, and even though I had, that running knowledge of it, but whenever I went and actually looked into it myself, it was more of a blessing to me researching what I had been told than if I had just run with what I had been told and learned. So, that's the reason why, this isn't going to be as long as an in-depth. So, because I actually had, I don't know where my notes are, but I had like, I don't know, 12 or so pages of stuff to go through. So we're just going to kind of cover the basics and a little bit more than the basics, enough to where, anyone that is their first time, just by what I tell you, you can do the best you can, especially, because you're gonna see the scriptures that we're gonna use, and then of course, you can always grab your Bible and look up in concordance, and all that, even using the internet, and do a search for Passover scriptures and that, and look deeper into it if you need to. So we're going to start here in Exodus chapter 12. And we'll start here in verse 2, which, verse 1 is just, the Father spoke to come to speak with Moses and Aaron. And in verse 2 it says, "This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." Talking about, what I was saying, April. To us, Nisan for, the Jewish people. Then he goes on to say, speak unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. Now, the reason I'm starting back this far is because I want you to see the imagery. Not only is Passover commemorative of when the Father rescued the children of Israel from Egypt, but Christ is our Passover lamb. For those who may question that, we can go to John chapter 1, and you figure in John chapter 1 verse 29 it says, "The next day John," talking about John who was the Baptist, "seeing Christ," Yeshua, "coming unto him, and saith, Behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world." Christ was not a sin sacrifice, brothers and sisters. He was our Passover lamb, our replacement. And that's a whole other study, but because under the law of Yahuwah, human sacrifice is illegal. It's sin. He was our Passover lamb, the replacement for us. But I want you to see this imagery because it's just beautiful. Let's continue. "And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb." In other words, basically we're just saying, don't get this big, huge, great old big thing if there's only going to be a couple of you. And if there's only you, and there's no way you could eat that lamb, go and be with your neighbor in their house, just using common sense. "Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats." Without blemish. Without spot or blemish is what we are commanded to be at the return of Yeshua, at the resurrection of the dead on the last day. We are to be found working without spot or blemish. "And you shall keep it up until the 14th day. Now, remember, they took it the 10th. So they're raising and nurturing this lamb personally for 4 days. They know the lamb. They're, kids really, really in this time, there are stories, of children who got so attached to the lamb and loved that lamb. And then on the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening on the 14th day. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper doorpost of the house where they shall eat it. Talking about eating the Passover meal. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread and with bitter herbs. Now remember that, brothers and sisters. This is part of the commandment. We eat the lamb, we eat unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Eat not of it raw nor sodden at all with water, but roasted with fire, his head and his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And you shall let nothing of it remain until morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is Yahuwah's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am Yahuwah. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. Now, the blood. The death angel will see the blood. It's the blood of Yeshua that saved us. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for memorial, and you shall keep it a feast to Yahuwah throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off of Israel. And in that day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation unto you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. It's not a Sabbath, but there's no work. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generation by an ordinance forever. And in the month, on the 14th day of the month, at evening, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. 7 days there shall be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened, and all your habitations shall be eat unleavened bread. Okay. Unleavened bread for 7 days. It starts with the Passover meal. Now, there are different people that do different things. We are, not a farming society or whatever. So, I know people that will use, beef or something like that, to symbolize the lamb. And of course, your unleavened bread, and then your bitter herbs. Now, there's different things that can be used for bitter herbs, but I think one of the best things is probably going to be horseradish. Very, very bitter, very solemn. And of course, you eat it with, fully clothed, like you're getting ready to go out the door and go be saved, on the Passover, headed out of Egypt, with your shoes on, clothes on, girded about with your staff ready, to go. It is the Passover of Yahuwah. A lot of people, I know that actually raise sheep and all that. They will actually put the blood on the doorposts and stuff like that. I don't have the way of doing that. I basically have, the scriptures and that on my door that we're commanded to have. It's one of the things that, what the Lord leads you to do. I'm not going to tell you that you have to get lamb or you have to do this, you have to do that. In this time, everybody had lamb. And of course, I will tell you, you have to have unleavened bread because it tells you unleavened bread and unleavened bread only. In other words, that's the only type of bread you are to eat for that 7 days. Now, speaking of, the days of unleavened bread, some people believe that it's like a fasting. All you eat for those 7 days is unleavened bread and that's it. I don't see where it says that. It tells us, to get rid of all of our leaven. That means, any raised bread of any sort that's in our house, get it out. A lot of people will take it to, and get all of, the bread and all that's in the house out. Well, the problem is if you're living with people that don't believe the same way you do, you can't go and throw other people's stuff away. We're not literally coming out of Egypt, but yet we're coming out of spiritual Babylon is what we are doing. We are being separate. And the leaven that we need to get out of us is sin. Any type of sin, that you're struggling with, get rid of it. If you're convicted about, having, white bread or whatever, or even a starter, because that's basically what they had back then, were starters, to make bread every day. They had a starter that they used to make bread, and they would throw that starter away, and after the feast they would start a new starter. Behold, all things are new. So I would pray and get a direction from the Father on how He leads you to do it. Because, nowadays, not all of us are the same. You have, some that are single, you have some that are married, you have some people that are unequally yoked. There are so many different situations, but yet, the feast is the same. The law of the Father does not change. We all have to do it. And this is, adults and kids alike. If you're a parent and you're raising kids, you are responsible to teach your children to do the feasts of the Father. I don't care if the kid wants to throw a fit. That's where discipline comes in. The Father says if you won't discipline your kids, you hate them. That's what that rod of correction is for. Even the Father uses the rod of correction on us. But, it's something that's almost non-existent nowadays. Man, I was beat when I was a kid, and I deserved every single one of them. I got away with a lot more stuff that I didn't get beat for. So whenever I got a really, really good beating, it made up for the times that I didn't get beat. You know? Back in the day, people used to, have to pick their own switch. And you'd go to school and you'd compare the stripes on your legs with other people. See who got beat the worst. Nowadays they just call you for child abuse. But, I was a better person because of it. It's sad that, parents don't care, and they'll use that excuse that, I'm just so busy. Well, if anything is more important than your own prodigy, I think you need to go and hit the altar and pray, because kids are the biggest gift that a person can have. I know nowadays it's just something that people do to make more money from the government, and that's not right. And I'm sorry, if this is stepping on your toes. Welfare isn't something that the Father agrees with. He says that if a man will not work, he should not eat. And, that's why he says, on the Sabbath, 6 days shall you work. The seventh is a day of rest. There's some people out there that needs to slow down. 6 days shall you work. And then there's others that needs to speed up because they ain't worked a day in their life yet. Just because, there's a system to where you can get free money and sit on your butt and eat bonbons all day, don't mean it's right. And I agree, there are some people out there that needs help. But, the system has been made to where people are abusing it. I know people personally that are abusing the system. And, it's just costing us that are working money. I don't think it's right for, people to be able to have more kids and get a raise on their, their free money from the government, or an increase on their food stamps and so on and so forth. This is all just a separate thing, but, the Father doesn't agree with it. We're commanded to work by the sweat of our brow. And, there's a lot of people out there that don't even know what it means to work and sweat. Let's continue. But, the Passover is the start of it. Eating, like I said, some people will eat lamb, some people will eat chicken, some people will use beef. Definitely no pork. I don't care what you believe, no pork ever. Pork is unclean. But, I would pray, and that's why, I'm doing this video a little early. Got a little time for, people to research into the scriptures, get a hold of the Father and pray, and, think out what you're going to be doing. The first of the year is, the evening of the second coming up. You've got 14 days past, the second, the first of the year before Passover. And it's plenty of time, to get a game plan on how you're going to do it, what you're going to do, and so on and so forth. And one thing I want to stress, and I really want to stress this. If this is, your first time and you're just totally panicking and just beside yourself, that you just want to be so perfect and do it right, hey, take a breath, step back. Just do the best you can. You know, you will learn as you do it. Yes, I mean it's exciting, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a very serious thing, but you're learning. I mean, you've come this far. You're showing the Father, hey, my heart beats for you. I want to serve you with all that I am. Ask Him to lead you and guide you and help you do what He commanded us to do. Don't allow, and I stress this, do not allow the enemy to get a hold of you emotionally and mentally and torment you about the feasts of the Father. They are joyous occasions. They are a feast, a celebration unto the Father for what He did for us. It is a holy convocation. Don't allow the enemy to steal your joy just because you're new to it. The Father knows all about it. I mean, think about it. They weren't pros at it whenever they first did it. They were just doing as was said. And as you do it continually, you learn different ways of doing things, how this is better, do this, do that. You learn. Enjoy yourself. That's what the Father wants. He wants us to enjoy ourselves in Him. And if you have brothers and sisters that you can do Passover with, it makes it even better. But we're so spread out. There are some that are blessed, that have people that they can do Passover with. But me, I think families should do it. Or if it's just one person, they bring them into your family. Just like it says in the Word. But just don't lose sight of what it's about. Not only is it about, what the Father did for the Israelites, bringing them out of Egypt, it's also about what Christ did for us at the cross. I done showed you, He was the Lamb of Yahuwah that came to take away the sin of the world. And, without Him, we're dead in our sin. And, I think people should pause and really think about that. And, see it for what it is. For me, I think it's a time that everyone should go back and actually read these scriptures. No matter where you're at in your personal studies, go back and read the accounts of Passover. It's a blessing. Let us never forget. Because, the Father does everything for us. He loves us more than I think it's humanly possible for us to even understand. Even the worst of us, He loves. Now, of course, let's get back. So, from first of the month, which is the evening of the 2nd of April, 14 days forward, we'll start Passover. So the evening, let's see, 14, 15. So it'll be the evening of the 16th. Trying to have to picture it in my mind. So the evening of the 16th, we'll start the Passover meal. And from that forward, you're going to always eat unleavened bread for 7 full days. As you know, evening to evening is, a day. So basically, as it used to be, although time here lately is just really different, because I don't know if it's going on where you're at, but it seems like, there's times that it's dark here at a certain time, and then the next day it's dark either sooner or later. It's just weird. But anyway, the official rule is whenever the sun goes down and you can see 3 stars in the sky, the next day begins. So on the 16th, when the sun goes down and you can see 3 stars, Passover begins. And it will go to the next day till sun goes down and you can see 3 stars. Now, anything that you have left from your Passover meal, burn it with fire. Everybody has the ability, to make a little fire pit or something like that. If you have leftover meat or whatever that you have used as your Passover meal, burn it with fire. Usually, most people, if they're using chicken or beef or whatever, it's easy just to make enough that you will consume, that there'll be nothing left. From there, of course, you have the consecutive days of unleavened bread. Now, as I was saying about the unleavened bread, in Scripture, I find nowhere that it, describes a time of fasting. I'm open to be proven wrong on this. I've looked at, Jasher 49, the account of Passover. That's Jubilees 49, and that. And I have not seen anything about where, we're fasting and just eating unleavened bread. The main thing is, to get all the leaven out of your house, which is, we are, the temple of Yahuwah. That's Matthew 18, chapter 20. Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. That, we are the temple of the Lord. I think that's it. Here I am second guessing myself. I need to start making some notes on stuff like this when I do it spur of the moment. Okay. Verse 20. It says, okay, so where there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. So the one that I'm wanting is in 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Know you not that you are the temple of Yahuwah, and that the Spirit of Yahuwah dwelleth in you? So, see, we are the temple. So, we don't want to defile the temple. And where 2 or 3 of us are gathered, there he is in the midst. This is live, brothers and sisters. Okay, back to 12. So, unleavened bread, as I was saying, I don't see where it says that it's a fast. You can't eat anything leavened. So, your bread will be unleavened bread. Now, there are several recipes for unleavened bread. Or if, you can't cook, no judgments here. You can buy matzah. It's either M-I-T-Z-A or M-O-T-Z-A. Matzah. It's basically like the stuff that people will use for communion that does not exist. Communion is not a real thing, brothers and sisters. Where they get communion from is them using, wine and that in the Passover meal, because, that's what they drank. It's another thing. If you're drinking wine, you can drink wine with your Passover meal and drink wine all through the celebration. Just no leaven. So, now let's go to cover the first fruits, because this is a biggie. Let's see, I think it's verse 9. Let's go ahead and cover this too. It's verse 4 here in Leviticus chapter 23. It says, "These are the feasts of Yahuwah, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season. In the 14th day of the first month at evening is the Lord's Passover. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Unto the Lord 7 days you must eat unleavened bread." See, it says you must eat unleavened bread. It doesn't say that's the only thing you can eat. It just says you have to eat unleavened bread. In the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein, but you shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord 7 days. In the 7th day is a holy convocation. You shall do no servile work therein. So basically, on the first day you do no work. On the last day you do no work. Now, this covers verse 9 to 14. It's talking about first fruits. And it's different for each person, because most of us don't have the ability to do it as it is in Scripture. So let's read it and we'll go from there. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye be come into the land which I give unto you, you shall reap the harvest thereof. Then you shall bring a sheave of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest, and he shall wave a sheave before the Lord, and be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it, and you shall offer that day, when ye wave the sheave, a he lamb without blemish in the first year of the burnt offering unto the Lord. And the meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, an offering made by fire unto the Lord for a sweet Savior. And the drink offering thereof shall be of wine, the 4th part of a hin. And ye shall eat neither bread, nor parched corn, nor green ears, until the selfsame day that ye have brought an offering unto your Elohim, Yahuwah. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generation in all your dwellings." So basically, you do the wave offering and all that stuff. How in the four-wall indoctrination centers, they'll do that wave offering, whenever you're praising and worshiping the Father. Some people will do that. Basically, you're giving a gift unto the Father some way. Some people will go out and they will witness to someone special. Some people will give a monetary gift to a certain person. Some people, will spend extra time praying. Sometimes they'll spend extra time worshiping. Sometimes people will give their testimony. It's just different for each person. You're giving a gift unto the Lord to bring honor and glory and praise to Him. And it's different for each person. What you do, I strongly suggest you cry out to the Father and ask Him. He may just, have you, bless someone, witness to someone. Me, I do several different things. So it's just different from each person. So on that day after, the 7th day of unleavened bread, the next day is first fruits, and that is the time that we're talking about. So after all this is done, you will have completed Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits, all in all in together, one right after another. Now, these are also in the New Testament. Like I said, I could go real in deep. That's fine and dandy. I'm going to leave it at this because I think the Father really just wants people to dig into it and cry out to Him. You know, trying the hearts of, the masses. Who loves Him enough to dive into His Word? I will, give you, other references, Passover, Exodus chapter 12, 13, Exodus 23, 15, 34, 18, of course, Leviticus 23, but there's one other thing I want to cover. And this is really kind of a special thing to me. We're going to go over here to Numbers. Oh, yes, the dreaded Numbers. I love Numbers, really. It's just, I used to be like everybody else. I used to loathe, and I do mean loathe, hate almost, reading the book of Numbers. And then I found that, the Father has hidden things in Numbers. You can take the names of the patriarchs and convert them to what each name means. And it tells you a little story. I think I did a video on that, I believe. I think the first one that I ever heard about, I was trying to remember. I can't even remember who it was that did it. But it actually holds true. You figure you can actually do the name of the 7 churches, translate what they mean, and it tells you a story. But that's a whole other thing. Let's go to Numbers chapter 9, and let's just read 1 to 14, I think it is. I think it's, 1 to 14, yeah. Because, this is important. Shrink that up a little bit. Because, this coincides prophetically. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, and in the first month of the 2nd year, after they come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season. And the 14th day of this month, at evening, you shall keep it in his appointed season, according to all the rites of it, and according to all ceremonies thereof, shall you keep it. And Moses spake unto the children of Israel, that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at evening in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that Yahuwah commanded Moses. So did the children of Israel. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, We are defiled by a dead body of a man. Wherefore are we kept back? In other words, we can't keep the feast, that we may make an offering of the Lord in his appointed season among the children of Israel. And Moses said to them, Stand still, I will hear what the Lord will command concerning you. Now, pay attention here. Notice the only thing that was said. They were defiled by a dead body. Under the law, if you touch any dead thing, you're unclean for X amount of time. That's the only thing that was said. But I want you to pay attention to what the Father adds to this. Verse 9, it says, And the Lord Yahuwah spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or, this is what he added, be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord. Instead, he's saying, you're still going to keep the Passover. So, this is called Second Passover. The 14th day of the second month, at evening, they shall keep it, and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it, according to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. But a man that is clean and is not in a journey, and forbear, in other words, doesn't keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahuwah in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. In other words, he'll be unforgiven. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto the Lord according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. Ye shall have one ordinance, both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land. All right, brothers and sisters, did anybody catch the prophetic part of this? Maybe a few of you. All right. What was he talking about? Let's go to Matthew chapter 25. Starting at verse 14. The kingdom of heaven is a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. You catching it yet? Verse 14, the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling to a far country on a journey. Do you understand? You know that Christ came, he lived, death, burial, resurrection, and then he left. He's on a far journey now. Let's read on. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. In other words, he didn't do nothing. Not a thing. In other words, he was given something, he just squandered, didn't do a thing with it. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh, and reckon with them. And so he that had 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then, then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know thee that thou art a hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast, that is thine. In other words, here, I didn't do anything with it. Here, have it. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money in an exchanger's, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury, i.e., just like a bank, interest. Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he has. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Let's read a couple more. When the Son of Man come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations. That word nations is ethnos, people. And he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divides his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on his right hand, but the goats on his left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come, ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Verse 41. Then shall he say unto them on the left hand, Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Brothers and sisters, these feasts are prophetic in nature. When Christ came, he fulfilled Passover. He fulfilled unleavened bread. He fulfilled first fruits. And then the day of Pentecost fell to them in the upper room in Acts. The feasts are slowly being fulfilled one by one by one by one. Yahuwah is a man. Well, he's not a man, but he abides by his word. He's not a man that lies. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. His word will not return void. I understand, to some people, stepping out of your comfort zone for the first time, it can be hard, a little nerve-wracking, but the reward is far beyond anything that you could imagine. You're not doing this unto another man. You're doing this unto your Creator. Those of us who are His children, we do this because we love Him in obedience. You didn't see anywhere in here where it says only the Jews, or after so many days this ends. You don't have to do it no more. Brothers and sisters, the law is forever. You can read it in Isaiah 65 and 66. Even in the new heaven and new earth, we will be keeping the law of the Father. It's forever. The Father doesn't change His mind. When He has laid down something, a foundation for us to grow on, that foundation will not change. Because that foundation is Christ. You know, Christ is the Word. And the Word was made flesh. You know, I pray, you know, you see these feasts as what they are. They are celebrations to bring us closer to the Father, to worship Him and to see Him for who He is. He is a good God. He loves us more than we can even understand. And I pray, you know, that, you know, you'll be about doing His will, because we are to be doers of the Word, not hearers only. You know, faith alone is worthless. You know, faith without works is dead. You know, it's that faith and walking in obedience that produces the works. And you know, these feasts of the Father, they are grand celebrations. And it brings us closer to Him. I just don't understand why, you know, people don't want to do. You know, we are to profane, not have anything to do with these beast feasts, this garbage thing that they call Easter, Ishtar, with the, you know, they're just fertility goddess, you know, days. You know, they are pagan to the core. And we are to not abide in them at all. We're not to do as the heathen does. We are set apart. We are a peculiar people called unto Him, separate. You know, he who loves the world is the enemy of the Father. Anyone who loves the world, the love of the Father is not in them. You know, brothers and sisters, I pray that, you know, this piques your interest, that you would, you know, celebrate Passover and unleavened bread and first fruits with all of your being. And, you know, strive, if this is, you know, the second time that you get the opportunity to celebrate this, you know, do better than you did last year. I know the first time, you know, you're a little nervous and, you know, you're kind of like, you know, just kind of learning what to do and how to do and following, you know, the direction of the Spirit. Do it with all that you are and praise and worship and glorify Him, as He is worthy, greatly to be praised. I'll leave it at that. You know, I look forward to your questions, but, you know, I'll answer the questions, but the Father won't allow me to, you know, totally lay everything out and, you know, give you all the scriptures and so on and so forth. He wants us to hunger and thirst after Him. He wants us to seek Him out. You know, I don't think that's too much to ask for those who say that they love you to seek you out. I think that's just fine. So, I thank you all for your prayers. You are my prayers always. I look forward to your questions or your comments. If anyone needs to get a hold of me, you know, about anything other than that or other matters, email me at jtt1777@outlook.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. As always, you know, keep seeking the face of the Father and, you know, armoring up every day before you even get out of bed. You know, the attacks of the enemy are definitely getting stronger, more frequent, And you know, there's a lot of things going on right now. So I just want to thank you all for, you know, being a part, and I pray everyone has, you know, a good new year. Not too long till Sabbath again. So I just thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Yahuwah bless you always.